Hello again, folks. Sheepdog Smokey here, and we've made it through a week, as I said yesterday. And so far, aside from Democrat and liberal strongholds, that being California, New York, for example, I'm not seeing the lockdown liberals are crying that is coming. I'm not seeing any of the panic anywhere but those areas, and that's because they've been run for so long by liberals that they actually believe that somehow Trump now must magically reverse time to last November and put a travel ban in place and send money to China and doctors to China to stop a disease that had not happened yet. They actually believe that since China puts out propaganda that the U.S. Army introduced coronavirus, COVID-19, they actually believe that. It's not true. We have had people who have said it originated in Wuhan. It is the Wuhan coronavirus. There have been people arrested and just vanished because they were told not to treat the virus or not to test for it yet. If you want to see what a tyrant dictatorship looks like, look at communist China. It used to be look at the USSR. Before that, it was look at Nazi Germany. Not too long ago, it was look at Venezuela. Now it's communist China. And even in other areas, we're seeing them crack down on people simply speaking out. You know, we had the demonstrations. I believe it was Taiwan. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen the news in a while on it. But we had places of like memorials defaced with "How dare you not trust China?" And people today forget, and they just believe the bull coming out of our mainstream media. Before we go any further, as always, please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're aware of everything that is posted. And as always, I'm doing the giveaway at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers for the books. This situation, I believe it's South Korea, although it might have been Vietnam, I'm not 100% sure, has already said that they have had, I believe, 3 days with no new cases of COVID-19. When everything started, we were hearing that it would be a 70 to 80% infection with a 20 to 30% mortality rate. What we're seeing now is that we're probably going to have 7 to 15% symptomatic or asymptomatic carriers with a 1 to 1.5% mortality rate. The media is now all but running scared because their doom and gloom predictions that millions will die won't happen. They cried and ran and screamed racism in January when Trump put a travel ban on China in place. They demanded he not do that. And now, barely a month and a half later, we're seeing that this actually saved lives and saved people from being infected in the U.S. The policy of no travel to and from China. Anyone coming from China is turned around at the border and not allowed in unless they're a U.S. citizen, and those people will be quarantined, tested, and treated. They cried and screamed and said, "You're a racist," when just weeks before they were calling the virus the Wuhan coronavirus or the Chinese coronavirus. But when China started crying and saying, "Oh, don't do that. We say the American military planted it," 90% of the media switched and cried racism on it, when it's not true. China is a country, not a race. Chinese is a nationality, not a race. Okay? It's very simple. There are white Chinese people, black Chinese people, Asian Chinese people, Hispanic Chinese people, because in the last 20 to 25 years, travel has been so easy and companies have become so multinational that people have moved all over the world and changed their lives for a job. It's just that simple. To say something came from China is not racist. It is a geographic statement. If this virus had originated in the UK, calling it the, I don't know, Staffordshire coronavirus would not be racist. Calling it the St. Petersburg virus or the, I don't know, can't think of a city in South Africa, but calling it the Sydney coronavirus would not be racist. It's geographic. It's saying this virus originated in this place, and that's why we call it this. But liberals are so sure of their own infallibility that to even suggest that they are not 100% correct 100% of the time sends them into just panic. And they are so self-assured that when they feel they have been assaulted by you telling them they're wrong, they actually feel they have a right to beat the living tar out of you. Just look at Portland, Berkeley, or anywhere else on the West Coast, where the supposed anti-fascists, who are just fascists themselves, quite literally using Nazi logos for their own organization, hiding their faces as they assault people, they actually believe they have a right to beat people bloody over a hat. One need only look at the video, I believe it was from Berkeley, but it could have been from another college, where a young snowflake steals a sign, and as police are telling her, do not destroy that, we will arrest you. Do not destroy that, we will arrest you. She's trying to destroy it. We've seen video of other college campuses where these snowflakes will vandalize stands where people have permission to set up a table under a tent and pass out literature. They'll come vandalize that. For crying out loud, I'm in North Texas. This is not a blue area. Okay, my town is not blue at all. But when I was in college, and this is 10 years ago, that I graduated 10 years ago, so I was in college, started 15 years ago. I was very, very much aware that I should not wear anything that identifies me as a Republican. I was on what I considered a conservative campus. But you didn't see conservative taglines. You didn't see in 2008 Romney shirts or Ryan shirts. You didn't see, I'm sorry, that was McCain Palin. In 2012, when I was going back up there to talk about possibly looking for a master's, I didn't see Romney and Ryan shirts. Okay, in 2016, I drove up there because I was interested in a master's again and looking to see what aid I might get. I didn't wear my Trump shirt or my hat. I don't put stickers on my car, period. But this is in a conservative area. And I knew I'd probably end up having a problem if I publicized that I am not a Democrat. Why should we feel like that? And it's because of the media who right now are demonizing anyone who refuses to ignore this virus originated in China. China did nothing about it. China actively suppressed information about it. They demonize anyone who refuses to demonize Trump for actually aiding the country in stopping the spread with the travel ban. We're living in the same society almost when it comes to the media as Soviet Russia, or right now with Communist China. You see, the media in China is not free. Look up Pravda from the USSR. State-run media. For crying out loud, watch Superman Red Sun, where Superman actually believes he should never give an interview to the press outside of Russia, because he's been brainwashed to think all media not run by the state are actively working to overthrow the government. And we actually have people who believe this crap now. For crying out loud, Barack Obama hated and still hates Fox News. And Fox News is not conservative now. They are, at best, middle of the road, leaning left. But he worked to keep them at the back of the room or keep them away from him. Now, Acosta cries and moans about freedom of the press when he's not allowed to be the only person speaking at a press conference and asking questions. Lord, just look back at the tweets from these journalists crying about how Donald Trump called out a tiny little publication instead of me. Watch as Jim Acosta manhandles the female intern when the intern was told remove the mic. The White House is not a government building. It is a private home that houses some government offices. You should never even suggest you have a right to enter the White House. Yet that's exactly what Jim Acosta did, and he got a liberal judge to agree with him, saying you can't revoke his hard pass and make him ask for permission every day. Had Barack Obama said, I'm revoking every hard pass for every Fox employee possible, liberal judges would have said, well, it's your home, Mr. Obama, you can do what you want. But when it's Donald Trump, he can't revoke access at all. I'm honestly surprised some liberal judge has not issued an order that Donald Trump is to personally give press briefings every hour on the hour with Jim Acosta sitting front and center, able to be the only one asking any questions. That's how stupid these people are. They honestly believe they have a right to rule the world, and when they're not allowed to, they cry like toddlers. Right now, we're seeing the effect of that. And there are a lot of things going around, a lot of theories going around. I can't say 100% one way or the other on any of them. I do not work for the government. I worked as a county jailer for a year, and I've been a volunteer firefighter for several years before I got hurt. That's the extent of my involvement with any government office. I don't believe that we will see a federal declaration of martial law. I just don't. The National Guards, the 50 National Guards, have not been federalized, as far as I've seen. There's been no declaration of war, so they can't do that. I watched an interesting video last night put together by U.S. Law Shield. They are a group of lawyers that specialize in Second Amendment, basically firearms law. I am a member of that group, so that if I'm ever arrested after having to defend my life or someone else's or whatever, I have an attorney, and I feel very good about having that. But they talked about how emergency declarations and such like that do not give the government power to suspend habeas corpus. That's where you can be arrested and held indefinitely. That's literally the situation in the UK. In the United Kingdom, you are arrested and detained at the pleasure of the Crown. I mean, they may say at the pleasure of the Queen right now, I don't know. Literally, you can be held incommunicado until they decide to let you speak to someone. You have no rights. When I was in high school, I was in JROTC, and I wish now I could go back 25 years, actually about 28 years, tell myself to get off the couch, get in shape, and go to college right after high school and go into the military. I would be sitting a lot better right now. Probably would be just freshly retired or very close to retirement from 20 years in JAG. But I didn't, and I can't. But our chief had been stationed in the UK. He was stationed all over in his career. And he very plainly told us when he was there, he would tell his enlisted men that he was over. If you're arrested, cooperate 150%. Don't talk about your rights. You'll be taken in the back room and introduced to your rights in the form of fists and truncheons. You simply acknowledge it, you cooperate, and you say that your commander must be contacted. The commander's then going to contact him, get you out, and put you in a brig, probably. But he was very clear that you have no rights in the UK. That's why we have the Bill of Rights here. It's why declaring martial law is so difficult. It's why a federal lockdown is so difficult. Look at 1861 to 1865, Civil War. Abraham Lincoln actually suspended habeas corpus, and they had a person who was arrested and held indefinitely on suspicion of being a Confederate sympathizer. And after the war, after habeas corpus had been reinstated, this person was tried and all that, they sued, and the Supreme Court actually agreed with the person who was arrested. So that even tells you that if war is declared and habeas corpus is suspended, you still have some recourse, but not much. And it takes a lot for that to happen. Even in times of civil unrest and insurrection within the country, that's not war. It would take the governors to basically call out the National Guard. And yes, the National Guard is not part of the military unless federalized. They are part of the state, so they can act as law enforcement if needed. We saw it with Katrina, where the National Guard was doing a lot more than they normally did. And there was a lot that went wrong in New Orleans and Louisiana at large during and after Katrina, but that was the National Guard acting under the governor of Louisiana, not under the command of the president. The primary thing I guess I'm saying here, because I've talked a long time on this, is don't panic. Get off of Facebook. Get off of Instagram, Twitter. If you're seeing all this crap about, they're going to lock us down for 6 months, you won't be able to buy food, ignore those. Get off of the platform, walk away. We may see a limited version of rationing where, we're not going to let people just go shop whenever they want. And you're not going to be able to just buy everything and anything you want. We're going to limit you to buying staples and supplies, and that's it, so that everyone is able to have what they need. And that will be run by the stores. They're already doing it. I went into town just an hour or so ago because, I needed sodas and a bag of chips and stuff like that. And there are signs that you may only buy 2 bread products, not 2 loaves of bread and 2 bags of buns and 2 bags of biscuits. Just 2 bread products. And I watched this guy had 2 loaves of bread, 2 bags of ready-to-bake rolls, 2 bags of hot dog buns, 2 bags of hamburger buns. And he started to get upset, but he finally just said fine and walked away. Don't get upset. If the store says you may only buy 2 items out of this section of shelves, don't pick up 8. Pick up 2. Okay? I bought my 3 packs of Dr. Pepper because it was on sale if you bought 3. I think I got 1 loaf of bread and a couple of bags of chips. And I was fine. I went to another store looking for some rice for my parents as they texted me while I was on my way back. And we're all fine. We're all good. Yeah, we're not going to be eating steak and, hamburgers and hot dogs and hamburger helper and all the stuff we're used to. We may be eating cold cut sandwiches more or cereal more. We may be eating more of just staples as opposed to cooking these normal meals we're used to. And that is not a problem for us. Honestly, if we started eating, more staples and we just did some small meals and, had an apple to snack on, I'll probably end up losing some weight through this. Because I won't be able to ensure that I always have 6 or 7 cold sodas in my fridge. If I only have that, I'll have 1 a day instead of 2 or 3. I won't be eating as much junk food as I was. I'll be eating a little smarter. I could stand to lose probably about 50 pounds, so, who knows. Next weekend, since it's supposed to rain this weekend, although maybe tomorrow if it moves out early, my dad and I might, I was planning on putting a trailer hitch on my truck. I've got it sitting right over there. But the rain kind of put the kibosh on that today, so I ran to town. And that's it. My father has to go to work next week because he works for a funeral home. He can't work from home. And that does kind of scare me because he is older. I believe that he is in good enough health, and if he does start having symptoms, we'll get him to the doctor, and we'll take care of it. But it does kind of make me anxious, and there's not a way around it that I know of. I've talked on this long enough. I've been on this topic, it seems like almost every video I make. And it's tiring. But every time I see all the disinformation and all the panic, I feel I need to bring a different viewpoint. Just look at it from another angle. Because just that change in point of view can help. And I really hope that at the end of this, we see that the media during this was not our ally. It can be. But CNN needs to tell Acosta and Stelter and Saliza to stop editorializing everything and politicizing everything. Be a journalist. Fox needs to tell that to some. NBC, ABC, MSNBC, all of them need to tell their people, stop being political pundits blaming the woes of the planet on the president. If you have an actual story, do it. But don't just sit there and editorialize everything. Maybe through all this, with people not going to see movies and not going out, so they're not renting movies and so on, maybe Hollywood will get the picture that, oh, we've whipped up frenzy for so long that now we did this to ourselves. Quite honestly, 95% of everyone in Hollywood could retire right now, never make another movie or TV show again, and not have to worry about money. They might have to downsize from their 10,000 square foot mansion to a 2,000 square foot house. But Lord, I live in 500. My parents, raising my nephew, live in about, I think, 1,200. They don't need those mansions. They're ego boosts is all they are. I'm not holding out hope for that, honestly. But, it's all down to the same thing. Don't panic. Think logically. Think through it. When you see a story, look up other sources. Ask other people. Look at everything you can. You'll probably find out that the hype is not real. Anyway, that's it for this one. Again, please remember to subscribe, turn on notifications, like and share the video to expand the conversation. But be civil. We're here to talk and debate, not scream and yell and insult each other. I am doing the giveaway at 500 subscribers for one book, 1,000 for two, 1,500 for three, with those choices being 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. Of course, the 1,500 winner gets all three. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day and be careful and smart.